The new 2024 sci-fi thriller Slingshot hits theaters with a bang. A man slowly awakens in a cryosleep chamber, disoriented and confused. Fortunately, an AI voice prompt helps him piece together his memories. It turns out that although rapidly developing technology has enabled humans to travel to space, the drugs used for hibernation have many side effects because they were only recently developed. Symptoms such as headaches, nausea and confusion can make it take a long time for even astronauts with excellent physical fitness to wake up. But before his thoughts could fully return, Captain Franks came running over to tell John to hurry to the cockpit, as this might be the last communication received before reaching their destination. In the not-so-distant future, Earth's resources are running dry due to overexploitation. Scientists have detected what seems to be a rich reserve of resources on Titan, one of Saturn's moons, and the 3 astronauts are on a mission to explore it. Hearing the importance of the mission, John promises he'll fulfill his duty, and the other 2 crew members return to cryosleep to conserve supplies and reduce risks. Only one crew member stays awake at a time, rotating every 3 months. At first, everything is calm until something unusual happens on John's watch. One day, he hears a distant, haunting voice calling his name, sounding just like his ex-girlfriend. Puzzled and uneasy, he investigates but finds nothing. Suddenly, the ship shudders, the lights flicker erratically, and an alarm echoes through the corridors before everything falls quiet again. At this time, he saw that the screws on a board above had come loose, and he wanted to see what the situation was. Moments later, John's crewmates are awakened by the system to investigate. They find a large dent in the hull, suggesting something hit the ship, but external cameras show nothing, and diagnostics report no damage. Perplexed, they send a message back to Earth, but they're now too far out to receive a reply. Franks insists they stay the course, while Nash voices concerns. Although there's no visible damage, the impact was real, and there's no way to guarantee the ship's structural safety. Nash argues for a return while they still can. Franks, however, refuses, stating that such high-stakes exploration requires some risk, even the possibility of sacrifice. Both arguments weigh heavily, leaving John uncertain about which side to take. With growing tension, Franks suggests following the original plan and awaiting Earth's guidance, though their distance dims the chances of a response. Impatience gets the better of Nash, who tells John not to rely on unrealistic hopes. Just then, the system flickers again, showing signs of a second strange malfunction, with no cause detected. At this time, Franks once again called a meeting with the 2 of them. He said that everyone just wasting resources by waiting here, and decided to re-implement the rotation system, allowing the 2 of them to go to sleep first while he waited for news again. John didn't think much of it after hearing this, and was planning to go to sleep directly, but at this time Nash walked over. He claimed that a 3-month dormant cycle was enough to reach Jupiter, and the original plan was for the spacecraft to first enter the edge of Jupiter's orbital radius, and then directly accelerate and eject to Titan based on the gravitational pull of the orbit. He speculated that Franks's move was to buy time to continue the mission, so that even if something else went wrong, there would be no way to return. To counter this, Nash suggests they set an early wake-up by 1 day, allowing them to steer away if necessary, potentially using Jupiter's gravity to boost their return to Earth. Seeing John's hesitation, Nash argues that the current circumstances are too unsafe to continue and warns that Frank's determination for mission success has become dangerously obsessive. After much persuasion, John finally agreed, but said that if nothing happened when he woke up, he would have to continue with the original plan and go to Titan. But little do they know, their entire conversation is being monitored by Franks, who hears every word. Soon, the time came to end the hibernation cycle, but John, who was gradually regaining consciousness, suddenly saw his ex-girlfriend standing not far away. However, after taking a closer look, the figure disappeared again. He felt that this situation should be caused by the hibernation drug. His ex, Zoe, had also been an astronaut in training. They had met during a lecture, falling in love quickly due to their similar backgrounds and aspirations. But to prevent personal relationships from affecting work, the agency forbade active duty astronauts from dating. Zoe chose to retire, sacrificing her dream. Not long after, John was selected for this mission. While it was a great honor for an astronaut, it dealt a heavy blow to their relationship. The mission would take at least 4 years, assuming everything went smoothly. Even so, John chose to pursue his dream. Disappointed, Zoe broke up with him. John figured it was his lingering guilt that made him see her after waking from hibernation each time. Just as he was lost in thought, Nash came over. John quickly shared his suspicions. Nash nodded in understanding, saying if John missed her that much, he should return home to be with her. Nash then revealed he had secretly adjusted their flight path, saying John could surprise Zoe in no time. As he looked at Titan, which was now within easy reach, the dream of spaceflight filled John's heart once again. He said that he shouldn't have made a decision without consulting Franks. As they debated, Franks entered and assured John that everything was under control. Only then did Nash realize his plan had already been discovered, though he still insisted they return home immediately. He couldn't shake the feeling that Franks was hiding something. Franks, observing Nash's increasingly erratic behavior, remarked that he would report his misconduct once contact with Earth resumed. Enraged, Nash stormed out, but his words stirred unease in John's mind. After much deliberation, John decided to investigate a sealed-off hatch. Just as he assessed whether the ship's structure could withstand damage, saw a screw come loose, and then the damaged body quickly collapsed and was sucked out of the cabin. He clung tightly, fighting the immense pull, but eventually lost his grip and drifted into space. It had all been a hallucination. In reality, he harbored some suspicion of Franks, but waffling now was useless. The ship soon entered Jupiter's gravitational field, and he tensely accelerated, feeling the ship shudder under the strain. Suddenly, the system powered down, and their speed plummeted. They risked being trapped by Jupiter's gravity, with no escape possible. All they could do was pray. Thankfully, the system restarted, and they narrowly exited the danger zone. Relieved, the three settled back, needing only to follow the set course. But soon, bizarre incidents ensued. While monitoring the radio, John received a garbled message with no detectable source on radar. Nash discovered the reactor's power output had dropped to 20% but couldn't identify the cause. Relying on solar panels alone wouldn't allow for a safe return. At that moment, Franks gathered the crew and announced he'd found signs of tampering with the power data. Although Nash managed programming, the last login showed John's credentials. Unable to identify the culprit, Franks insisted both men enter their hibernation pods, promising to wake them just before landing. Brandishing a gun as he spoke, left with no choice, they complied under the threat to their lives. Just as John entered his pod, he saw Franks knock Nash down and brutally finish him off. Blood splattered across the observation window. But the sedative soon took hold, plunging John into a helpless sleep. When he awoke, the observation window was clean. As if nothing had happened, he rushed to confront Franks, but the man's words sent chills through him. Franks claimed only the two of them were on board, blaming the hibernation drug for his hallucinations. John knew he was lying but dared not contradict him. Given the gun, he pretended to comply, waiting for a chance. Franks, noticing John's distraction, assumed he was troubled by Zoe's image again and revealed the truth. Zoe, he said, was just a plant by the agency to stir John's emotions and test his commitment to the mission. John felt enraged at the absurdity, finally lashing out at Franks, but Franks detailed their first meeting, claiming it was orchestrated and shared private details only Zoe would know. This made John feel surprised. He carefully recalled every detail of his relationship with Zoe and found that there were indeed many suspicious points that did not hold up to scrutiny. Just then, a message came through from Earth, urging them not to risk an immediate return. Why, then, was the ship still heading toward Titan? John was now certain Franks was hiding something, so he informed Earth, requesting help. The signal promptly cut off. Feigning belief in his hallucinations, John mentioned he needed to check on Nash's pod, then rushed to his quarters, locking the door before pretending he'd understood Earth's message. Franks argued it was another delusion, claiming they were too far from Earth for any signal, daring John to check Nash's pod himself. After a long pause, John opened the door. Franks seized the opportunity to overpower him, saying John's unstable mind had compromised the mission, ordering him back to the pod. The pod was empty, with no sign of Nash, but vivid memories of his death flashed before John's eyes. Convinced Franks hid the body, he seized an opportunity to wrestle for the gun. They struggled fiercely until Franks was finally subdued. John rushed to the cockpit to initiate a course for home, but Franks appeared again. Without hesitation, John took him down once more, this time decisively. Feeling secure, he called the system to locate Nash. but the answer left him puzzled. The system reported no trace of Nash on board. He then asked for Frank's location, and the response was more chilling. Frank's wasn't on board either.
Is the whole crew alive?
Yes, the crew is alive.
Realizing something was horribly wrong, he accessed the crew list. Finding only his own name, he finally understood he'd been alone all along. Though the ship's damage and reactor issues were real, the hibernation drug had magnified his fears, conjuring companions to share his isolation. Desperately, he made one last radio call, praying for help. Incredibly, someone answered. Zoe's voice came through. Afraid it was another illusion, he replied softly. She assured him she was real. Just as he began to feel hopeful, he questioned how he could receive a signal this far out. Zoe explained that he had never left Earth. He'd been chosen for a space mission, but because the drug's effects were unknown, he was first placed in a simulated underground module. During the simulation, an earthquake struck, causing damage and communications failure. They had pinpointed his location and were digging him out, telling him to open the airlock and wait outside. Overcome with relief, John prepared to leave. Just then, Franks reappeared, warning him not to open the airlock, insisting it was all a delusion and that stepping outside would hurl him into space. But John no longer trusted his lies and opened the airlock. Stepping outside, Franks made no attempt to stop him.
Your door will open in 15.
Don't do this!
As he exited, John tried calling Zoe again, but there was no reply. A countdown ended, and smoke cleared, revealing an underground facility. He was finally safe. Hearing the drilling above, he shouted for rescue, but suddenly all sounds ceased, plunging him into an unsettling silence. Realizing something, he closed his eyes and listened, faintly hearing the countdown resume. The next moment,
You must